I came across Pete Doherty and at Scrubs, and he was given a chance on the detox unit, and the next time we looked at him, it was on the front page of the Sun, and he was smoking joints in his cell with other prisoners, and that was very frustrating. And he thought the whole thing was a laugh, and he ended up. I took him down the seg, put him in the seg for the rest of his sentence. I mean, it was only literally 6-week sentence. Nothing you can do with somebody in that time. He thought he was all a bit special, and again, he's not special. He was a prisoner. Yeah, we put him on the detox unit when he arrived, and gave him his cell. And then outside every cell is a cell card. It tells you the name of the prisoner, the number of the prisoner. It's only a paper thing. And all these cell cards started going missing. And prisoners were taking them, going and getting him to sign it and sticking it in their pockets. I mean, I don't know. They all thought he was. I didn't even know who he was, to be honest. I'd never heard of the Libertines. It's not my sort of genre of music, and so I didn't know who he was. Prisoners can be frustrating. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And he wasn't the only one by any stretch of the imagination. And that's part of the job. Some you win, some you lose. Shadow. He was the former Gladiator. We had him at Scrubs, and he'd gone the wrong way after Gladiators had finished, and he'd got into drugs, and he was literally a shadow of his former self, wasting away. Looked nothing like a Gladiator, very calm, very quiet. And it was a bit of a sorry sight, really, to see somebody who had been, that pumped up, full of muscle and vigor and get up and go, to drugs are an evil thing, and they can do evil things to people. And it was very sad, really, to see him like that. Holloway was the largest female prison in Western Europe, actually. It covered area from Leicester right down to the Isle of Wight, and it locked up around about 500 prisoners. And part of the job of staff was, once prisoners were convicted, we sent them out to convicted prisons, closed prisons. So it was nothing unusual that, I'd only been in the job, I don't know, probably a year, maybe 18 months. And my job that particular day was to take, along with 2 other officers, was to take a group of women from Holloway to Cookham Wood in Rochester in Kent, which was a closed prison for convicted prisoners. We arrived at the gate, as is always, usual. The senior officer in charge of their receptions, said to us, "Would you guys like a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or something?" And we all said yes, because we were parched from the journey. And she kind of yelled out, "Myra!" like that, and we all kind of looked at each other and sort of raised our eyebrows, and come shuffling along in this sort of denim skirt with a brown jumper with holes in the elbows and brown mousy hair, sort of neck length, sort of cut into the neck. She went round, the 3 of us asked us what we wanted to drink. I said, "Tea, 2 sugars, please." And off she shuffled. My mate next to me, the officer next to me, sort of said, "You know who that is, don't you?" And I was like, "No, Myra." And she said, "That's Myra Hindley." And I was like, "No, it isn't." And she said, "Yeah, it is." And of course, when you say the word Myra Hindley, automatically your brain switches to the bleached blonde with the piercing eyes and the almost evil stamped across her forehead. She didn't look like anything like that. I was kind of surprised that they'd have her working in an area like receptions, where there's like lots of comings and goings, but I thought, well, she's obviously been risk assessed for that job. She came back with a tray, shuffling along, and made us all a cup of tea, asked us if we wanted anything else, and said no thank you, and that was pretty much it. But it was just like, I suppose it was kind of shocking when you think, the media every time, even now, I mean, she's been dead, what, 22 years, something like that. Even now, if you watch a crime program on it, or, something comes up in the news or whatever, they will put that bleach blonde photo of her. But she was nothing like that. I mean, she was nothing really. There was no doubt she was a very manipulative woman. I mean, anybody that can get a governor to take her to Regent's Park for an ice cream, in my book, is a very manipulative person. But, she clearly was. She tried to have a relationship with somebody, I can't remember her surname, you can look her up, but to break out of jail when she was at Holloway, but it was the old Holloway. Josie O'Dwyer broke her nose at that time when she was at the old Holloway, and that's why they decided to move her out. But, to me, she was nothing. And the crimes that she committed, she deserved to be in prison. And she's the sort of people that, we should be looking at and protecting the public and never letting out. Absolutely. Her and Rose West. Rose West, when she was arrested, she was this violent tirade of swearing and shouting at the police, spitting out how innocent she was. She didn't know anything about what was going on and everything. When she came to Holloway, we had her at Holloway for about 3 or 4 months, I suppose, before her trial started in the October. She didn't actually cause us any problem at all. She asked the governor for knitting needles, and she was given plastic knitting needles that she could. Obviously, you can't put somebody like that in the general population, not only for her safety, but others' safety as well. So she was kept down the segregation unit, and at that time I was in charge of the segregation unit, and we kept her in the cell opposite the office. We used to get her out, get her to do a bit of cleaning, let her watch a bit of TV at night, because she was there. She wasn't under punishment, she was just there for what it was then known as her own protection. So she was no bother to us. But you could see that, she was quite manipulative in how she was, in a very quiet, calm way. Almost like she'd had this complete blow up and it had been seen by the police when she was arrested, etc., and denying all her innocence. And then, of course, when Fred killed himself on New Year's Day, myself and the governor, we told her that Fred had died, probably around tea time on that New Year's Day. And, she didn't bat an eyelid. Did not bat an eyelid. And I always thought that she thought that because Fred was dead, that would be that she would get off then. They wouldn't carry on with her. How wrong she was.